have we heard anything new? What's the latest here from what we saw in these companies the last 5 days? Clearly, there is little demand right now for the aircraft itself, and it seems like still a big question mark on when people will fly again.
Yeah, I think it's pretty scary news right now. We're seeing the TSA checkpoint traffic in April is down 95% year over year. And Delta came out this week with their earnings, and they said they're expecting a June quarter revenue for that whole 3-month period to be down 90% year over year. So it's pretty devastating for these businesses. Some of the good news is, with Delta's release, they said they're probably going to be able to get their costs down year over year by 50%. But even that's not enough. Obviously, if your revenue's down 90%, they're still looking like they're going to have about a $4 billion operating loss in this current quarter, which is devastating. And that's why the current focus has been so much on raising liquidity through the CARES Act programs as well as through the regular capital markets.
What do we know about the difference, that kind of net, between the support that they're getting and the pain that they're seeing in all of the declines in travel from the government right now? Are they going to get more? Is the door closed on that? Walk me through how that's playing out in terms of offsetting the pain, because we see for the economy, the stimulus efforts are doing a pretty good job. A lot of people here are going to be making more than they would have in their job. But how does it break down for a company?
So I can maybe walk you through some of the numbers. I think right now it's looking like, Delta, for example, might lose about $4 billion in the June quarter. But through the CARES Act program, between the loans and the grants, it's looking like they'll be able to get at least $10 billion from what's already been signed into law. Plus, they had about $6 billion in cash to close out the March quarter. So that's about $16 billion in liquidity that I think they have, relative to, if things stay the way they are right now, it would be about a $16 billion cash burn. So I think they'll be fine, because they, in terms of survival, I think the companies like Delta, Southwest, they're certainly going to be able to survive this. It gets a little trickier with United. You saw them issuing a lot of, doing actually a stock offering this week to raise extra liquidity, because they're getting hit a little worse than Delta and Southwest, in my opinion.
United Air sold $1 billion in stock at about $26.50. Now you see $3 billion is what's being reported right now that Delta wants to raise. That's going to be in debt. So are they able to handle that? How much can they pile on, Colin?
I think they'll be able to handle it this year for sure, because they still have, my estimate is about in the case of Delta, I think they still have about $9 billion in unencumbered assets that they can easily get secured debt against. So I think it's pretty easy to go out and raise more debt that way. And I think Delta's the best position to do that. That's probably why you're seeing them raise debt, whereas United is going to stock issuance. And then American, who's the most levered and who has the lowest operating margins, they're going to probably, they're going to continue to be the biggest risk, in my opinion. But I guess what I'm seeing is eventually for companies like Delta, Southwest, and probably United, I think they'll be able to survive this. But it's really about, when does the demand start coming back, and what does the 2021 revenue line look like? Because obviously this can't go on. They can't survive these conditions forever.
Right. And that's exactly kind of the point here. Are we going to have the same suite of airlines that exist after this? And just for those, you may not be able to see this, Colin, but a little work from home fun here. We got somebody cleaning the windows behind me. New thing every day. Colin, are we going to have the same airlines that exist on the other side of this thing? How long does this go on? What's the breaking point? Like, if we go on to 6 months and we're all still quarantined, does that mean that one company needs to get consumed, two companies? We're really going to have all these airlines?
Well, I think that at least three of these, if I'm looking at the four majors, including Southwest, I think certainly I have high confidence that at least three of them can survive a year of this, really severe demand conditions. But the issue is the longer we're in these lockdowns, in my view, that pushes out the recovery longer and longer. So you're no longer just looking at 2021 burning cash. You're looking at potentially 2020, 2021, maybe 2022, because of the high fixed cost ratios with these businesses, even just a 10% revenue decline usually can bring about a 50% drop in earnings. So, with 90% revenue down, obviously you're burning billions of cash. But the longer these lockdowns go on, say you only get back to maybe 75% of where we were for 2021 demand, I still don't think you can make much money at all in that scenario. So the longer this goes on, the longer the recovery takes, and then things are really nasty.
Right now, are there any companies that you're having a buy rating on? Is it all hold? I know you've got a hold on American. I know you've cut some of these targets. What does it mean in terms of the investment scenario?
Well, I'm trying to just look for the least bad situations within the airline industry right now. And I think the way to do that is, the obvious one is find the companies that entered this with really low debt. And that, to me, that's Southwest number one, Alaska number two, and Delta was in pretty good shape on that front also. And then the next thing is who can probably see demand start recovering the earliest. And I think the companies that weren't focused on the premium business travelers are probably in better shape on that front, because it's not hard for me to envision a scenario where a lot of large employers who are typically flying their employees around the world for work, they're now pretty nervous about what the liability might look like if they keep doing that. So I think leisure travel will come back before business. And so that's going to benefit companies, I think, like Southwest a lot sooner than the Deltas, the Uniteds.
Yeah.